Rick Scott currently is running for Senate in Florida. He used to be the governor of Florida. And he also was the CEO of the company that committed the largest Medicare fraud in American history at the time. Fairly well known in the past to be a crook. So this story might not surprise you. So this is a story broken by TYT Investigates. And it is a story, they simply lay out the facts. I will fill in my analysis of it, and it'll be fairly clear to all of you guys as you see these facts. Now at the time, back in 2016, he was running a pro-Trump super PAC. But at the time, he's also the governor of Florida. So that could lead to a conflict of interest, and it turns out it did. So Matthew Cunningham Cook wrote this in conjunction with The Intercept, he explains, a Florida state agency invested $200 million with a massive Wall Street private equity firm 1 week after the firm's CEO donated to a super PAC run by Florida Governor Rick Scott, TYT has learned. Okay, so I'm gonna break it down for you guys and show you the flow chart in a second. But the Wall Street equity firm somehow gets $200 million from the state of Florida, run by Rick Scott, after they gave to a super PAC run by Rick Scott. Things that make you go, The transactions came in run up to the 2016 presidential election. Scott, a Republican, ran the pro-Trump super PAC at the same time. He served as trustee of the Florida agency, the State Board of Administration. The SBA manages the state's investments, about 80% of which are for the state pension funds, 1 million members and retirees. Now, that is a very important responsibility because that's your retirement money that he's playing with. So I'm gonna show you at the end how they did, because they're supposed to invest your money and get you a good return. If this isn't about corruption, well, it probably got you a fantastic return. We'll find out, because this is your retirement money in Florida, okay, that he's using for his own political purposes. So here's the flow chart. On September 26th of 2016, Steven Feinberg, who is the CEO of Cerberus, gives $500,000 to Rick Scott's super PAC. Now, the Supreme Court and the right wing would say, oh no, he just spoke to Rick Scott. No, he didn't speak to him, he gave him $500,000. It's not speech, it's money. And it's not for his health, it's for a bribe. It's a legal bribe in this country, which is what makes our system insane and the most corrupt in the world, because we legalize bribery. That's $500,000, $500,000 that Feinberg personally gave to Rick Scott's super PAC. Okay, well, it's not a bribe if he didn't get anything in return, so let's find out if he did. Rick Scott's SBA, that's the administration that he's running for Florida, playing with your pensions, then gives $200 million to Feinberg's firm, Cerberus. So Feinberg is $500,000, he gets $200 million in return. Now, they don't get the whole $200 million, that's for them to invest, and then they're gonna make a lot of money off that investment. I'm gonna tell you how much in a second. But that's on October 3rd. So the money went one way and then it came back around. Okay, well, they're not gonna be so crass as to complete the bribe afterwards, are they? Yes, they are. On November 3rd, Feinberg then gives another $975,000 to Rick Scott's super PAC. He's like, well, I'm giving you this $500,000. We have an understanding, right? Yeah, sure. Oh, I'm not promising you anything. Oh, here's $200 million for you to play around with and make money off of. Yes, our understanding was correct. Here's another basically $1 million for your super PAC. Make sure Trump wins so we can fill up the swamp with this kind of corruption. And he did, and they have. So, spokesperson for the SBA in Florida says, any suggestion of a link between individual contributions made and SBA investment decisions would be patently false. Well, you just saw how the money flowed. Do you think it's patently false? Do you think that Rick Scott happened to just make sure that Feinberg's firm got that $200 million right after they got a $500,000 donation, and then afterwards they get another $975,000? That's just a coincidence. He was gonna give him the $200 million anyway. Did he? Oh, is it Feinberg's firm? Oh, I didn't even know that. Does anyone in their right mind believe that? Does any conservative actually believe that? No, you know this is corruption. It's corruption 101. And they're doing it while playing with your money. Okay, so let's talk about that. So Cerberus, like I told you, they don't get the whole 200 million. Let's be fair. Okay, they're supposed to invest that. So what do they get? Well, they get 2% of all the assets and 20% of performance. Now, if you're not familiar with hedge funds or private equity, you might think, well, what does that mean? Well, since they say they're so good at investing, every year they're going to get the equivalent of 2% of the entirety of the $200 million and put it in their pocket. Just because their brilliance is going to lead to better results. So even if you don't make any money at all, even if your stocks go down, they're going to get that 2% anyway. That's $4 million. Now, they gave about 1.5. On the 2% alone, they already got $4 million every year from your pensions. And then they get 20% of however much your money went up. So they get 20% of the proceeds plus 2% of the overall pot. Now that's a lot of money. That's a ton of money, okay? Now, that is how much they charge. Well, what if the state of Florida just took the pensions and put it into an index fund? Index fund is basically just goes with the market, goes up and down with the market, but largely it's been going up. Well, does that have equally onerous charges? No, quite the opposite. An index fund charges you just 0.05%. Not 2%, not 1%, not 0.2%, 0.05%, and there's no 20% either. So that is way, way, way lower than what Cerberus charges. But in fact, the Cerberus fee is 10,000% higher than the index fund. They charge 10,000% more. Well, for 10,000% more, you better get amazing performance. Oh, well, look, I have good news for you, Florida. Cerberus's performance, actually, they did make money. 7.7% annualized rate of return from October 2016 when they had the money to March of 2018 when this analysis was done. So not bad, at least your money went up 7.7%. Maybe it was worth it, maybe it wasn't corruption. Well, wait, we do have to do one other thing. How did the index fund perform at the same time? The one that cost much, much less. Oh, wow. It performed at a 20.1% annualized rate. So if the state of Florida had just paid 0.05% and put it into an index fund, it would have made 3 times as much money. It would have tripled the amount of return that you would get if you had a pension with the state of Florida. They robbed you of that money. On top of that, they robbed you of the money that they are giving in those outrageous fees to Cerberus. Why? Because the CEO of the company gave a bribe to Rick Scott and Donald Trump. And that's how politics is played in America. So from time to time, we wag our finger at other countries for their corruption. Well, at least it's not systemic and institutionalized like this. This is what money in politics does. It allows for open bribery because all of it is now legal because of Citizens United and other Supreme Court decisions. You only have one choice. You have got to get the money out. If you don't, they're going to keep on robbing you blind day after day after day with criminals like Rick Scott. Now, because in America, corporations are on everything, even though he committed the largest Medicare fraud in American history, he didn't go to jail. His company is not an actual person, despite what the Supreme Court says, so they didn't go to jail. They paid a fine smaller than the amount that they robbed of the American people in that case. And Rick Scott went on to become governor, and then he went on to give away your pension fund to his friends who gave to his PACs. wolf-pac.com/join. Wolfpack is going to get an amendment, and we're going to get money out of politics. A progressive wave is coming. If we don't use it to get money out of politics, then we've accomplished nothing. Because they'll just bring the stuff back and they'll continue the corruption. You have got to end the corruption at its root. And the root is money in politics. It is private financing of elections. If you do private financing of elections, people like Rick Scott will serve private interests who have given them money. You do public financing of elections, and they might, just might, represent us, the public. Go join Wolfpack today. Brilliant job by TYT Investigates to show you the facts. And unfortunately, this is the heart of the problem in America. Like what you see? Click the subscribe button below and don't forget to ring the bell to never miss another video from the Young Turks.